Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how you can create an asset allocation pie showing how you have currently allocated your investment. And if we start by looking at the portfolio simulation guidelines and we scroll down to trading week 1 and 2, then we can see that at the end of trading week 2 we have to create a table or a graph of our current asset allocation, and we recommend that you use the free asset classes money market, bonds and stocks. And this classification or this allocation pie is not provided by StockTrack, so it's something we have to do by ourselves, and I'm now going to show you how that is done. Also, there's an instruction here on how to do it, so you go to My Portfolio, to Open Positions, and then click on Export to Excel. And also, we need to add the cash balance to the table as an additional category. So except for the free categories money market, bonds and stocks, we should also have the cash available. This shows sort of how big portion of the portfolio that we have not yet chosen what to invest in. Okay, so we go to StockTrack first, and then we go to My Portfolio and Open Positions. And once we are in the open positions, we can see the information on the different assets we have. So here I can see that I've gained a little bit of money on Google, and I lost a little bit of money on Intel Corporation. I could also go and look at how my bonds are doing, but that's not the purpose of this video. So we click on this Excel icon, which says Export to Excel. Then you will download all the information you need. So you open this, and you get here. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, as you can see here, maybe I should enlarge it a little bit, but as you can see here, we have all the symbols, and we have the company name, and the quantity, the currency, the price paid, the last price, market value, etc. But we have no information at all here regarding what class they are. I don't really know if this is a stock, or if it maybe is an ETF, or a mutual fund, or maybe even a bond. So to classify, just using this will not be sufficient. And that is also the reason why I have collected information of what I purchased in the previous movies. Okay, but even if we skip that at the moment, we can look at one other problem that will arise if you do this. Okay, so here I can see the market value of the different assets. Let's say I would like to compute the total market value of all of my assets. Then I add this one, so I click on the cell, plus this cell, plus this cell. Then I do this for all the cells. And then I press enter. And it will say value. Okay, why is this done? Well, in Sweden, or at least for me that has a Swedish version of Excel, I have as a standard to say that comma separators are for decimal points, whereas points should not be at all in numbers. And also I'm not really sure if it recognizes this dollar sign as a currency. So what I'm going to do here is that I will remove all the comma. And I can do this by pressing Ctrl F and go to replace. Okay, so then it says find what. I want to find all the comma, and I want to replace them with nothing. So this should remove the commas that are used as 1000 separators now. Okay, so we click on replace all. Right, that means it's done. We can look here. Yeah, there's no comma anywhere. Alright, the next step is to replace all the points, all these points, by a comma, because I use comma as a decimal separator. Again, I click Ctrl F, I go to replace, I say that I should want to find all the dots, and I want to replace them with a comma. Okay, I click on replace all, and now we are almost done. Still, we can see that we can find no value here, but that's not really a problem, because we can remove all the dollar signs. Okay, so the last step I do is that I go on Ctrl F, go to replace, I want to find all the dollar signs, and I want to remove them, so I replace them with nothing. Click on replace all, and now suddenly everything is in numbers and Excel can compute them. So that's nice, now we're finished. Just to make it a little bit easier to read, I will select all of these cells, I will format the cells, go to number, and then I will say that they are actually currency. I don't really need decimals, but I can keep them. And the symbol I'm going to use is the US dollar sign. Okay, so this is just to make it easier to read, because now they add space as a function separator, as we usually do in Sweden. There are also other ways to do this. If you, for example, go to the course website, then there is a guide to help you compute the market value. So there is a step-by-step instruction on how to change dollar signs and etc. to actually be able to read the information as it is. So what I did now was that I removed information that I didn't want and replaced it with the version that I'm using, but you can also tell Excel to accept it the way it looks right now, and this guide helps you with that. So then you have two options on how to do it. Okay, so now I know the total market value of all my positions, but this doesn't really help me. I still don't know how big fraction of this is invested in stocks, or how big fraction is invested in bonds or money market. Okay, so I'm actually going to delete this because it's not important right now. So what I need to do now is that I need to use the information I collected earlier. I'm going to scroll out slightly. No, maybe I don't need it. So this is one file that I created earlier, where I classified the assets I purchased as either stock, bonds, or money market, or maybe cash then, or this category other, which is very small. It's not really significant compared to the others. Okay, so then I can go back to this file I have now, and I can see that first I'm going to look for the symbol SCHC. Okay, so here I look for the symbol SCHC, and I find it at the bottom. Okay, now I see this is an ETF, and it consists primarily of stocks, have a little bit of cash, and then some invested in other stuff. Alright, so now I'm going to add here a category called type and one called asset class. Okay, and we knew that SCH was a ETF, and we also knew that it had partly stocks, partly cash, and partly others. So it's not really easy to say what this actually is, what asset class it is, because it consists of 3 different. So I will add mix here as the asset class. I will show you in a minute what I mean with it. Okay, then we look at Google. Okay, I go back to the previous here. I find that Google, it's a stock, and the asset class then is of course stocks. I repeat this for TROE, which is also a stock. I happen to remember it from the last time. I can look at BIL, or BIL, which is an ETF that is only invested in money market. Okay, so there's no problem there. So I have an ETF, which is a money market instrument. Then I have Intel Corporation. I find it here, and I see that it's a stock. And then I can do this for all types. But now I'm going to cheat a little bit because I already prepared this. So I will take it from here. Okay, now I've actually coded this with colors. And the reason I've done that is to make it easier for myself when I'm going to add it up later on. So just to make it extra clear, I will also do it here. I will make this stock if it's stock. I will make it red if it's one of the mixed classes where I need to check what they consist of. I will mark it with blue if it is money market, and I will mark it with orange if it's bonds. Okay, so now I have a bit better picture of what is stocks. It's these 3 guys, and what is bond, it's these 4 guys, and what is money market. However, I still don't know what the ETF and the mutual fund has invested in, because it's a mixed investment. So part of this money is invested in stocks, and part is invested in cash and other. Whereas for this mutual fund, which I invested quite a lot in, they have invested partly in stocks, partly in bonds, and then also have some cash. So again, I go back to the information I had here, and I see that for this APIUX fund, I have actually included the information of the asset class and the percentage of this fund that was invested in stocks. So I can use this information, So we can start maybe with SCHC. So I copied it and I insert it here. Okay, so what I've done now is that I've said that for the mix class, we have a few mix stocks or mixed assets, and this is for the SCHC. So when I'm going to take the market value here, then I will have to multiply it with the percentage invested in stocks to get the part of this fund that consists of stocks. I have to take this number times the percentage for cash to find out how much is invested in money market, and I have to take this number times the percentage for other to find how much is invested in other types of assets. So this was for SCHC, and then I also have for the APIUX. And again, I go here, I take the information I collected earlier, I copy it, and I insert it here. Alright, so now I'm actually almost done. There's just two more things I need to add before I can compute the total market value of stocks, the total market value of money market, and the total market value of bonds. Now I need to go back to stock track and go to my portfolio again. What I need to add now is the accrued interest earned on bonds. So when we have bonds in our portfolio, then these bonds will earn interest because bond is a type of a loan, and if we give a loan to someone, then they will pay interest back to us. But if they haven't paid interest yet, but there still has gone some time, then we know that some of the interest has started to gather up. So accrued interest earned on bonds is simply the amount of interest that has so far been gathering up and is waiting to be paid out. Once the debtor pays this interest to us, the accrued interest will go down by that amount. But we need to add this to our portfolio. So we add one tab here, which we call accrued interest earned on bonds. Oops. Maybe we can move it here and make it bigger. Okay. And we also need to add the current available cash. So the accrued interest, it was 1,919.32, and the cash that is available, I find it here, it's 534,346.39. And this accrued interest is a bond, so it's good that it's marked with orange. However, the available cash is not. We were supposed to have that as a separate category, so I will mark it with yellow. Okay, now we are actually ready to compute the market value of all the assets. So we want now to compute the total market value, and we want to do this for stocks, we want to do it for bonds, for money market instrument, and for cash. So just to be consistent with the colors, I will make stocks green, bonds orange, money market blue, and cash yellow. Okay, so to get the value of the total value of all the stocks we own, we add the value of this stock, the value of this stock, the value of that stock, as well as the portion of this ETF that is invested in stocks. And I get this by clicking on this cell, the market value of the ETF, times the percentage of that ETF invested in stocks. And I do the same for the mutual fund. I take the market value of the mutual fund times, so here I make this multiplication sign, times the percentage invested in stocks. So this is the total market value invested in stocks. Right? For bonds, we do in a similar way. We add the value of all the 4 bonds, as well as the accrued interest, and then bonds is not a part of the ETF, but it is a part of the mutual fund. So we have to add the mutual fund market value times the percentage invested in bonds. And then we get the total market capitalization of our bonds, or the market value. For the money market, we add the money market ETF that we had, the amount invested in that, and then again we add the part of the ETF that is invested in cash and the part of the mutual fund invested in cash, and we get the total amount in money market. And then for available cash, we simply take the our account balance or our cash balance. So we add this. Okay, so now we have got the total market value of our 4 different categories. I could also, of course, include this other category if I wanted to. Let's do that. Then we take the other category is only part of the 2 ETF and the mutual funds. We take the market value times the share in other plus the mutual fund times the share in other. Okay, so now we've done that. Okay, let's have it as in this color. Alright, now we want to compute the asset allocation pie. Then we go to insert and we click on pie, and for example this one, if you like it. You can choose any kind of chart that you prefer, but I'm going to use this one now. So I click on this and exploded pie. I move it slightly so that I can see what's in here, and then I right click on this information here and I click on select data. Okay, so you go on select data, then you click on add, and you can give a name if you want to, but I don't really care about the name. And the serial values, I remove this part, and then I simply click on the cell, hold shift and mark them all, and this will mean that we'll add all the different cells as part of this asset allocation. Okay, let's click on OK, and then you have the category. Now it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not very instructive. So I click on edit, and then I select stocks through others. So now it will combine stocks with the market value of stocks, bonds with the market value of bonds, etc. I click on OK, and we see that we have a chart now. Now, to be even more specific, I could choose some options. So up here I can choose maybe one where I see the percentage and the name within, or perhaps I prefer this one where I see it in this way. Still I get the percentage, and I can say that this is the asset allocation pie in week 2, which this is what I've created. Alright, so now you can see how an asset allocation pie looks like. And let's say I would have a little bit more in money market, maybe $50,000. Then it will change, of course, so that money market is actually a slightly larger part of this pie. And here I have a summary where I've made an explanation of what I've said. So the red means mix, the green means stock, the blue means money market, orange means bonds, and the yellow means cash. This is how I've created and made sure I know what stuff is. But this is how you create an asset allocation pie, and you don't have to have all of these color explanations that I've used. It's only for my own sake, so that I feel comfortable with adding the stuff that I should add. But this is it for today. I hope that you now know how to create an asset allocation pie.